Another piece of legislation for lawmakers to consider has already gotten some attention from the public. If passed, the Hydrogen Hub Development Act, as it's called, would create incentives for hydrogen production and distribution. The governor is touting this as a greener alternative to fossil fuels, but a recent study by Cornell and Stanford universities found the process of generating so-called blue hydrogen creates 20% more carbon emissions than burning natural gas or coal for heat. Now, protesters even rallied against the plan inside the Capitol during the governor's State of the State address. You might have heard about that. How difficult will it be to sell this plan, Dede Feldman, to the left wing of the Democratic Party that has a lot of pushback built up so far?
Well, when you take a really complex matter like this, that I believe is not really ready for prime time anyway, because it requires more study.
Right.
And then you have 30 environmental groups opposed. It looks like the leadership of the Democratic legislature is opposed, or feels at least that it needs more study. Then I think that it's going to be an uphill battle. But it doesn't mean it's not worth studying.
Right.
Doesn't, and I was really encouraged that there was a MOU that was issued between Los Alamos and the Environment and Energy and Minerals Department to study this. But at present, I think that there are many progressives that are convinced that this idea of hydrogen really will produce more carbon at the current proposal than it will save, and help us reach our goal of getting to a carbon neutral state by 2050. It'll extend the time for natural gas production, and I think that the oil and natural gas companies are looking at this as a transition to help them, and as we work toward a carbon neutral. But right now, the technology for either sequestering the methane in the ground, or limiting emissions, it's just not there yet.
It's a lot to consider. And Algernon, President Biden has already been a vocal supporter of a shift towards hydrogen power. In fact, I'm sure you recall Energy Secretary Granholm was out here in New Mexico on a tour about hydrogen not a few months ago. They say it's a pathway to reducing carbon emissions as it becomes more environmentally safe, as Dede just mentioned. But the key here is lots of science to be worked out to make hydrogen development more efficient. How does that natural pressure play into this idea to pass this now and figure it out later? Or is it prudent for the environment to just kind of wait on this and study?
President Biden is a charismatic guy, but physics is what we're up against, and physics is not subject to political influence or lobbying, and that's what we're up against. Unfortunately, as human beings, we are stuck in arguing about solutions in the framework of our politics, which is very, very much tied up in our how our capitalist system incentivizes and distributes rewards and investments. And so we're kind of limited in our ability to grapple with the realities of climate transformation and what our true predicament is, and the clicking stopwatch in terms of slowing down the heating of our planet. Hydrogen production, unfortunately, where you get into the implacability of physics, is that it takes energy to create energy. And we don't really have a way of producing hydrogen as yet that doesn't put us back in the situation where we're injecting carbon into our atmosphere, or even showing an ability to enforce compliance with what we can do as far as sequestering carbon and assuring that the technology meets the targets that are required. So there's an awful lot to talk about, but what we're up against is a hard time limit and just the implacability of physics.
That's right. Senator Snyder, Los Alamos has been in this game for a long time of hydrogen, about 40 years. And as Senator Feldman just mentioned, several agencies, including the Environment Department, the Natural Resources Department, ED, Economic Development Department, have all signed that memo of agreement with Los Alamos, Sandia, promising continued research focused on developing zero carbon hydrogen. Shouldn't this have come before we rolled this idea out? I mean, folks have been on this for a long time. To task these folks to do it now would seem like we're a bit behind the curve, unless I'm missing something here.
No, I think you're accurate. I think Senator Feldman is accurate in what she said, and I think Algernon is also accurate. The thing that I see, and the reason we need to do it now, is we're competing against at least 48 other states.
That's right.
For those billions of dollars that are coming from the feds to set up just four hydrogen centers. And we want New Mexico to be one. So there's that push that we really need to do the legal part now. But you're right, we should have been looking at this for some time, because right here with the labs, we have the expertise. We could have already been moving in that direction. And I'm afraid that part of it has gotten caught up in that old fight between the environmental community and the oil and gas community. And I think we should have put that aside and looked at hydrogen prior to coming to this point where we're really in a bit of a time crunch to have the money, to get the money from the feds to make one of the four hydrogen centers in New Mexico. So yeah, I think we're kind of putting as the old saying goes, the cart before the horse here. But part of us, I look at it, we don't have a choice. If we're going to play with the big boys in the big game, then we need to have the legal part in place. But as Senator Feldman said, when you have the Democratic leadership in both chambers expressing concerns about it, I wouldn't say this is going to pass. I think we really will put together an interim committee that will work on it and focus on it, or a task force, something that would allow the people from Los Alamos and Sandia to also participate in the discussions, not just legislators.
That's an interesting point there. Yeah, just a breakaway group that folks can put their heads down and really kind of get after this. That's actually a very interesting idea. Senator Feldman, please, you want to say something there?
Yeah, I do. I think that we are caught in a bind here. If we want to capture the national momentum on this, but we have to be very careful. It's not just a matter of establishing a legal framework. It's a matter of 9 different tax breaks and incentives and cuts that are going to be given for many years to the developers of these facilities and this new unproven fuel source. So that's the bind we're always in terms of economic development. We give all these tax cuts and all these breaks, incentives, and bonds and so on to companies. We're hungry for the job. We want that facility at Escalante out near Pruitt to be used again, and jobs there. But we have been burned so many times in the past by that kind of action.
That's right. The two words yellow cake come to mind. Exactly right. Senator,
but sometimes we win. Sometimes we win.
Right.
Look at all the fights that went on about the movie industry and the tax break and stuff. And it took them a while, but they were becoming successful for New Mexico.
Good point. Algernon, a point here. How big is this hydrogen opportunity? The one thing I'm missing here, I'm waiting to hear from this administration or anybody else, is what are we talking about here? If we invest, is this a sure thing? Is this going to be leapfrogged by something else down the road? I mean, how in should we be on this? Is it huge? Is it going to be New Mexico's number one money maker? What's your sense of it?
Opportunity to do what?
Thank you.
And for whom? Is this an opportunity to reduce carbon emissions that are heating the planet, that are putting us on an untenable course to where global climate change is going to impact our civilizations? I don't know. Is there an opportunity for some actors to make money? Yes, probably. So what is the opportunity that we feel the greatest imperative to pursue? And what are we willing to, how are we willing to allocate and prioritize that? If it's about addressing the climate situation, is this where we need to be looking? Is this what we need to be spending our time on right now? The problem with addressing climate change is that there's transformation and technological change, and I suspect societal changes that are required of that. And not all of that is sensible or meaningful from the perspective of profit.
Well, I'll remind Senator Feldman mentioned that the old mine out Escalante, that's now owned by a Texan who got his financing through Blackstone. We're talking tons of money, so not everyone's going to be able to play in this space. It's going to be the usual actors if you're following my trail here. So this is going to be very interesting. See how this plays out. Thank you all for your thoughts on this developing issue. We'll be tracking this Hydrogen Hub Development Act as it moves through the legislature. Now, another issue sure to get attention from lawmakers and voters: the governor's proposed tax cuts. I spoke with tax expert Richard Anklam from the New Mexico Tax Research Institute to find out how much an impact those cuts could have for citizens right here in our state.